Welcome back to the video series about the life of Shakyamuni Buddha. In the previous episode, we heard about the Buddha's return to the bamboo forest, where the air became fresh and joyful. Then, Venerable Mahamoggallana and the monks welcomed him and discussed the education of newly joined monks. The Buddha conversed with Rahula, asking about the boy's studies and encouraging Nanda to keep his mind at peace. Then, the Buddha listened to reports on the development of bamboo forest and emphasized the importance of education for new monks. During a sermon, the Buddha attracted the attention of devas and other living beings, including the four great heavenly kings who came to praise him. They praised the Buddha with beautiful music, expressing their respect and admiration. Buddha encouraged them to uphold the Dharma and help sentient beings who do not have faith. Finally, the story turns to the celestial musician Painkasika, who is in love with Surya Vakasa. After composing a love song, Painkasika was listened to and understood by the Buddha. Indra, the Lord of Heaven, also came to ask the Buddha for advice on matters related to life and death and the Dharma. In the end, Indra promised to help Painkasika get his love, and at the same time appointed him king of Gandharvas, ending the musician's love story. The Life of Shakyamuni Buddha, Volume 39. After the second month of settling down, an incident occurred. The story is, south of the Gang River it rains continuously from day to day, but for the past 4 or 5 months the north has not had a drop of rain. Then a disaster fell on the states here, especially the capital Vassali. The land cracked, the fields and gardens burned, crops failed, rice reserves were not strong enough to hold water, and there were no vegetables to eat. Then severe hunger and thirst, Dubbikantarapa, occurred. That is the first disaster. Because of hunger, many people died, and the living no longer had the strength to take their bodies to the cemetery or cremate them. They just threw the body outside the city. The stench spread everywhere. The evil yaksha ran rampant and caused suffering to the people. That is the second disaster. Because of corpses and stench, disease spreads, especially intestinal and stomach diseases, because they eat whatever they can eat. And cholera, depleted and polluted water sources, cause even more deaths. That's the third tribulation. The kings and councils of generals of the republics quickly met and nominated a mandarin named Mahali, who was a friend of King Senia Bimbisara, to be the head of the envoy, bringing solemn gifts. Arrived at Rajagaha, asked the king for help, presented it to the Buddha, hoping he would come to the state of Licchavi, the capital city of Vassali, to save suffering for all people. The king did not dare to accept the favor, saying that the envoys should come to pay homage to the Buddha, offer offerings, and report everything to him. He is currently residing in Bamboo Forest with a large community of monks. The Venerable Mahamoggallana stood on one side, after listening to the minister Mahali present the 3 tragedies at Vassali, then asked the Buddha to explain the picture, thinking to himself, in the eyes of the world-honored one not only preaches to the path to enlightenment and liberation, and now he is also a great Superman, Mahapurisa, able to manipulate nature, call the wind and call for rain like the Brahmin sorcerers. However, not only the Venerable Master can do it, but also the Arhats can do it. That's just the correlation and interaction of mental, biological, physical operations. In this case, the mind's power is superior. It can guide and mobilize other powers. Buddha already knew this, he said. Please go home. Tathagata and the assembly of 500 monks will arrive at Vassali in 10 to 10 days. Tathagata has a relationship with the royal family of Licchavi and the people of Vassali. Then Tathagata will try within his ability. When the envoys left, the Buddha spoke to his chief disciple. Hey Moggallana, you think right. However, the 3 disasters of Vassali occurred due to 3 interacting causes. The first was due to the hot and dry weather, the second was due to the evil arising from the leaders, the third was due to the gods, good spirit, good yaksha leave. Now please call Ananda here. After both of them were present, the Buddha said, Ananda has a very good memory, so he must learn the powerful sutra of the 3 jewels that Tathagata will read later. It is called Ratana Sutta. After memorizing it, you should choose a few hundred young monks with good memories and immediately teach them to memorize that sutra. As for Moggallana, He entered the palace and met King Senya Bimbisara, suggesting that he should support Vasali during the famine, about 1,000 carts of food, and the king should also send his ministers and troops to personally transport it. As soon as you're ready, you'll leave right away. Saving hunger is like saving fire. The blessings will be great. And thanks to that, the king's virtue will shine brightly and spread throughout Jambudvipa. Also presented to the king were Jivaka Komarabaka, assistant physicians, staff and medicine to treat cholera and complications of the stomach and intestines. The Venerable Ananda fulfilled his duty and had 500 monks learn it by heart. King Senya Bimbisara was ready to happily respond to that appropriate suggestion. And what's more, because the country's harvest was bountiful, it generously subsidized 2,000 truckloads of food to relieve hunger. He also generously lent another 1,000 tons of food with no time limit for repayment. Whenever the harvest is good, wealth will be paid later, without interest. Then the Buddha, dozens of elders, 500 monks, and the relief delegation loudly set out. 7 days later, arriving at the Ganga River at the town of Padalagama, the king had 50 large boats prepared to carry the delegation and food. It's the rainy season, so the water overflows the banks. Thanks to the big boat, we can navigate gently to the east. At the confluence of the river, the boat group left the Ganga River and followed the branch of the Gandak River to the north. On both sides of the bank, the dry grass fields looked tragic. The closer we got to Vasali, the slower the boat went because the river was shallow and floating with corpses and trash. The foul smell was strong. After 3 days, the boat group was quite arduous and difficult to reach the water wharf, Jiankao to Vasali capital. When the Buddha had just set foot on the east bank of the Lichavi Republic, a very heavy rain, darkening the sky and darkening the earth, seemed to open from heaven's gate, pouring down torrents onto the drought-stricken land as if it had been waiting for a long time. The heavy rain lasted for half a day. All the impurities disappeared. People everywhere poured out into the streets, joyfully shouting, singing, dancing. Kings, councils of generals, and nobles came to bow at the Buddha's feet, choking with gratitude, shedding tears, no joy. Speechless, Buddha, his delegation, and 3,000 carts of food entered the city. People kneel on both sides of the road. The Venerable Mahamoggallana was quick-witted and guided the king's minister Senya Bimbisara to discuss immediately with the leaders of the city of Vasali and did 3 things. Distribute food, immediately arrange about 20 locations. Soldiers were in charge of providing widespread hunger relief to the people. Other groups of soldiers and young volunteers spread everywhere, burying or burning all remaining corpses. Arrange a square and rows of covered houses with stalls for a delegation of physicians led by the chief physician Jivaka Komarabaka to treat the people. The young Sakaka saw the Buddha as a savior from heaven coming down to help all people, so he mobilized thousands of noble children to enthusiastically participate in this and that work with the relief delegation. At night, under the flickering torchlight, Venerable Ananda led 500 monks around Vasali city 3 times, reciting the Ratanasutta Sutta all night without sleep. Yanida Bhutani Samagani, Bhumani Vayaniva Antajika Sabeva Bhuta Sumana Bhavantu, Athopi Sakat Sunantu Basitam. In realms where heavenly beings dwell, upon this earth their stories swell. In emptiness they find their grace, practicing joy in this sacred space. With minds sincere and hearts so kind, they heed the teachings, wisdom aligned. Compassion flows, a boundless stream. In every soul they plant a dream. For every man and every maid, day and night, their kindness laid. With alms bestowed, their blessings grow. In the light of love, their spirits glow. What treasures lie in worldly gain? Gems and pearls, a fleeting chain. Yet nothing shines like Tathagata's light. The Buddha's truth, a wondrous sight. Let go of desires, cast off the pain. In Dharma's embrace, we break the chain. Shakyamuni's words, pure and clear. In Zen's stillness, the truth draws near. O Enlightened One, we sing your praise. In Zen's pure path, our hearts ablaze. No other way can match this grace, the Dharma jewel, our sacred place. Saints and sages in harmony stand, the Tathagata's disciples, hand in hand, with offerings made their virtues rise. In the light of truth, our spirits fly. With steadfast minds, we walk the way. In wisdom's light, we choose to stay. Gautama's teachings, a guiding star, leading us home, no matter how far. Like pillars strong, we stand our ground. Through storms of life, we're glory-bound. In the Four Noble Truths, we find our peace. In the stillness of being, our worries cease. The Sotapanna sees the path so clear. With wisdom profound, they persevere. In teachings shared, their hearts take flight. In the embrace of Dharma, they find their light. With right view firm, we break the chains. From doubts and fears, our spirit gains. No more the weight of karma's hold. In the treasure of truth, our hearts unfold. Though we may stumble, our hearts remain bright. In the virtue of seeing, we find our light. Like trees in summer, we blossom and grow. In the Buddha's teachings, our spirits flow. O Supreme Being, with wisdom so vast, in the Dharma's embrace, we find our path cast. With every teaching, our hearts align. In the treasure of truth, our souls entwine. As old karma fades, new seeds we sow. In the light of nirvana, our spirits glow. With desires extinguished, we find our way. In the treasure of Dharma, we choose to stay. So join us, dear beings, in joy and in peace. In homage to Buddha, our hearts find release. With offerings made, let our spirits soar. In the blessings of truth, we live evermore. In realms where heavenly beings dwell, upon this earth their stories swell. In emptiness they find their grace, practicing joy in this sacred space. Oh, the sutra with the voices of 500 monks singing together all night long was truly indescribably profound. The whole space trembled and wobbled. The whole world of Vasali seemed to be submerged in a sea of deep, sublime sounds. The clouds of heaven and earth filled the entire space, respectfully listening to the sutra and then raising their great vows to protect the three jewels and protect the country, if the kings and generals live according to the Dharma. The next day, many people did not understand what secret mantra the monks recited that had such terrifying power. It made all the people of the capital listen respectfully. All worries and fears were dissipated. Not only in people's hearts, but also in the surrounding space felt a peaceful atmosphere. Elders and wise arhats must explain. It's not a mystical mantra or a secret mantra. It's a sutra that speaks of the power of the three jewels. That power is also gathered by the power of 500 monks reciting and reciting, forming the power of the upper mind monk, which can impact the entire internal and external world, mind-birth physics, to bring about peace and coolness for this country. The work of famine relief, disease treatment, and cleaning and disinfection of places lasted more than a week, somewhere near completion. During that time, when the monks came to rest at Mahavana, the Buddha preached continuously at the royal court, an assembly of kings, generals, nobles, mandarins, intellectuals, notables, rich people, merchant, eyes and ears. Licchavi Republic, capital is Vasali. Vidya Republic, capital is Mithila. 5 or 6 small tribes allied to form the Vaji Federation. The Buddha emphasized that in governing the country and the people, armed forces, although necessary, are still secondary. Love and solidarity, to live in good dharma, are the decisive factors. The Buddha developed a number of teachings related to the gods and non-humans in the surrounding world, how to live to make them happy. Immersed in the flavor of the Dharma and clearly saw the power of the Buddha and the congregation, immediately dispelling 3 disasters. They asked for conversion a lot and promised to reform the election of virtuous kings and talented martial aristocrats to run and lead the places. A few days later, the People's Representative Council was convened. With 3 drum beats, one of the 3 kings was appointed to preside over the council and organize the election by public nomination. The reform program and implementation measures based on the Dharma were approved by the majority of delegates. The discussed policy outline convinced many people and was seriously and quickly implemented. So right at Licchavi, 14,000 martial generals were chosen to govern about 250,000 inhabitants. The morality of the 3 monarchs is promoted and praised. The Council of Generals was praised for their ability and sense of responsibility to improve the country. From then on, these countries began to prosper and become peaceful again. The Licchavi nobles began to live a simple, humble life, loving their people like brothers. Young generals are no longer overbearing, free-spirited, or arrogant. Sometimes they just sleep on grass mattresses, with weapons ready at their sides, able to get up at any time to take care of the people's security. The Buddha stayed at Vasali for half a month when the people contributed, joined hands, and joined forces to complete a great project, the pointed roof house at Mahavana, to make offerings to the monks of the 10 directions. The Council of Generals, people and lay people in 2 rows petitioned the Lord, suffering, rescue to stay. However, seeing that the situation had become bright and good, the Buddha and the assembly said goodbye and returned to Rajagaha. Oh, the transformation of the Venerable Master is truly great. The elders had the same thought. After the retreat season, most elders from all over the world came to Bamboo Forest to pay their respects to the Buddha and report on their propaganda work. Thus, the Dharma was spread to a number of small republics and autonomous federations north of the Ganga River. Everywhere there were establishments and resident monks. Particularly the small states southwest of Rajagaha capital, such as Kalama, Kesi, Vamsa, are still very thin. Venerable Sariputta and a number of elders from Kivian returned and said that there was development there, but it was not favorable because opposing forces emerged openly. They did not have the chance to approach and win over King Pasenadi in the court, so perhaps they had to wait for the power of the Buddha. The Buddha dismissed and reassured them. Due to the large number of new bhikkhus from other places, the number has reached around 2,000, so the lay elders have to be busy with work. The princes of the Sakya family have now heard a lot and learned a lot, so they naturally have to assist the elders in their work, becoming exemplary and majestic elders to guide the following disciples. Dear ladies and gentlemen, you have just listened to the video about the life of Buddha Shakyamuni, adapted from the work A Life, a Sun and Moon by Master Geoy Duck. This video series will be broadcast at 7 p.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the YouTube channel Buddhist Story. We sincerely thank you for watching. To not miss the next episodes, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. If you find the content useful, please share this video with your relatives and friends. All your comments are very valuable to us. Please leave comments below the video so we can discuss and share together. Thank you, and see you again in the next episodes of the video series, The Life of Buddha Shakyamuni.